Saitama has exceeded his limits, growing beyond his previous power to something new. How, may you ask? By sneezing and farting.
Stop the cap.
No, I am being serious series no cap here, ladies and gentlemen. Saitama's sneeze can kill every anime character you can think of. Wait for it, wait for it. 3, 2, 1.
He not beating Goku! He not beating Goku!
Okay, that's a question we're going to answer, but we will leave the conclusion up to you in the comment section below once you complete our analysis from part 1. And this video. You heard that right, this is part 2. In part 1 we scaled Saitama's power from chapter 167 if you haven't already watched it. If you haven't, then that means that you are the silliest of willies. You're just not a Chad like the rest of the people that have the notification bell on. And so, how did Saitama gain limitless power? What does the One Punch Man manga define it as? Well, an important thing to remember is that his limitlessness is in everything. Every category that equates to someone's power. For example, limitless strength, limitless defense, limitless speed, and wait, no, except for limitless intelligence. I mean, Saitama clearly doesn't have a limitless intelligence, you don't need me to tell you that. Oh, and there's also gaming. I mean, remember this?
K.O. Kusoge! Okay,
getting back to the point. After Saitama became bald through his training regime, his limiter was broken, and in fact was limitless from that point forward. However, his infinite power is an ability that activates when facing an opponent that provides him a challenge. A good example of this being foreshadowed from the very beginning was Saitama's battle against Cravolante. Pre-training Saitama defeated a Tiger level threat, which is the equivalent of being a B-class hero already. I mean, Saitama had something like a 9-foot high jump. For some perspective, the world record is 8'1¼ inches. Saitama cleared Crabolante's height, which is stated to be 8'2". So at the lowest possible measure of this feat, pre-training Saitama would be slightly better than the best modern human to ever do it. On top of that, in the One Punch Man audiobooks, which are approved by One, the creator of the series, pre-training Saitama was also completely unharmed and couldn't even be moved by Tatsumaki's psychic power. Bearing in mind, this is way before the events that occurred in the webcomic that we mentioned in part 1 of this series. So even that early on, Saitama was pretty damn strong. Saitama exponentially grows his base level through fighting whilst it is still ongoing. With every opponent he faced in the past, he was growing stronger, and since Cosmic Garou is the first opponent that can take multiple serious punches without dying, fulfilling his dream, Saitama's exponential growth activates due to his limitless power. Therefore, every single punch, once the battle started, was becoming stronger and stronger. Saitama was feeling an emotion in conjunction with this growth. Genos had died, which made him angry, sad, and feeling something he'd never really felt before. Garou incited this because his plan was to copy Saitama's limitless power an infinite amount of times to eventually beat him. He claims that he is hitting Saitama with serious punches with the same amount of power that he was utilizing on Earth. But Saitama grows more and more to the point where an opponent simply can't keep up, because his power will multiply a number of times over what the opponent is dishing out to him until they are left in the dust. So even though Garou was copying his power level each and every time, it was useless, because Saitama's next punch was always going to be something higher. His speed and defense scales like this as well. That's why he's never really taken any damage or even bled before. Theoretically, what this this means is that if Saitama faced an opponent that can keep tanking his limitless power, for example if an opponent existed that could tank a serious punch that scaled to the highest it's ever been in One Punch Man at the end of chapter 168, it wouldn't actually matter, because the longer the fight goes on, the stronger Saitama will become, as he will just keep adapting to the new power level that is needed for him to attain victory. And so, let's talk about the serious sneeze for a moment. Saitama's sneeze alone can kill every single person on Earth. Just take a look at this picture just to understand the scale of Saitama's sneeze. Earth is that small in comparison to Jupiter. Jupiter is a huge planet. In fact, it has a mass 2.5 times greater than the sum of all the planets in our solar system. Which begs the question, how much power did Saitama's sneeze result in? Well, it would require around 2 trillion joules of energy. You heard that right. Now, although numbers of such magnitude are impossible to put into perspective, I will try. You would need a measly 225 million trillion joules of energy to blow up the Earth. Therefore, with the amount of energy created by Saitama's sneeze alone, he could destroy 90 planet Earths in one. Saitama's serious sneeze produced enough air pressure to completely remove Jupiter's atmosphere from its core. Jupiter is composed of gaseous and liquid matter, which is divided between a gaseous outer atmosphere and a denser interior, and all of that was just wiped away. To produce this much power with a sneeze would mean that Saitama's lung capacity must be ridiculous, as according to livescience.com, a sneeze output is determined by the pressure in the respiratory system and the capacity of one's lung. A lung capacity this great would allow Saitama to swim to the bottom of the ocean and back up again in one breath. But this is also a testament to Saitama's durability of his body and internal organs, as a sneeze with this much force would break the ribs along with everybody's bones in a normal person. Therefore, Saitama has limitless stamina. That's why when he's in space it doesn't even matter. Referring back to the time against Boros where he thought he couldn't breathe on the moon, he actually doesn't need to. This then moves us on to Saitama's fart. I never thought I'd be saying that in a power scaling video. Saitama's fart, similar to his sneeze, represents the durability of his internal organs and its ability to produce pressurized gas. We can actually attempt to calculate the force of Saitama's fart. Because Saitama weighs 160 pounds on Earth, where according to the universal law of gravity, in space he should weigh around 142 pounds. We know that Saitama travelled faster than the speed of the rays of light that came from the sun, travelling at the speed of 186,282 miles per second. So the momentum would be P equals mv, where P is momentum, m is mass, and v is velocity, giving Saitama the momentum of 26,412 kilogram meter per second. To put this into perspective, one of the most widely used handguns, the Beretta M9, has a typical bullet mass of 0.008 kilograms with a velocity of 400 meters per second, giving us a bullet momentum of about 3.2 kilogram meters per second. This means that Saitama's farts give off a momentum nearly 10,000 times that of a bullet. In terms of speed, well, I mean, we already explained that in part 1.
Now that we have scaled Saitama's serious fart and serious sneeze, I can't believe that's coming out of my mouth. Let's take this further and beyond by scaling his feat with the sun. The sun is so massive that it makes up 99.8% of the mass of our solar system. To put this into perspective, you could fit nearly 1 million Earths inside of it. The temperature at the sun's core is also about 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the chemicals that make up our body